restaurant and all of a sudden, you know, the waitress or waiter is giving kind of the specials and it just isn't clear to you. How in the world can you go, you know, continue to go like that and not hear very well? But a lot of times people, now if it's a mild to moderate hearing loss, you're in the right place. If it is something that's a little more pronounced, then you need to go and see a doctor, of course. But we have something very special, and it's called GoHearing GoUltra hearing aids with the accessories kit. This is something that you can buy and you can run on your own. It actually has its own volume control, so it doesn't have to be set at a physician's office. The fact is that you're going to get these with everything you need for a price tag of $499.99. That may sound like a high price, but if you've ever gone out and actually talked to someone or priced actual hearing aids that you would get from a physician's office, they can be thousands of dollars. Brett Hamilton is here to tell us all about it. And Brett, welcome in. How are you this Tuesday morning?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Mary Beth.
You bet.
This is cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, you and I got a chance to introduce these a while back, a few months back. And when we think about what we've seen with over-the-counter hearing aids in the last almost 2 years now,
right?
Pretty incredible to think that you can avoid a doctor's visit. When I say avoid, it's not necessary anymore for the mild to moderate to not have to worry about a prescription, not have to worry about a hearing test, to be able to essentially fine-tune your hearing aids at a fraction of the cost. And I think just about everybody watching right now probably knows somebody that has paid for traditional hearing aids. My stepfather bought them, I want to say 5-6 years ago before he got a different version. And they were almost $6,000.
Yeah.
$6,000 for something that didn't do the trick. And he was frustrated. Wow. And now the opportunity to be able to kind of self-tune these things. And you look and you see how small these are. So let's address that 500-pound gorilla, the stigma that comes typically with hearing aids. Most people don't get them, not because they're lazy or they don't want to try them. They kind of feel like everybody's going to think I'm old. You know, they're going to see that big honking piece in my ear and the big flap and that module. Those days are over. These are smaller than most earbuds that you see people listening to music through or making phone calls or whatever. So now, basically, all you have to do is take them out of the charging case, which you could see there, that black box. They charge within the case itself. You pop one in each ear, and then you can cycle through. In fact, I'm going to show you guys in real time. So pardon the zoom in here, but I want to show you guys how easy it is to control these, because you've got two buttons, Mary Beth. I'm going to use this little pointer. You've got a top button, which is your A button. You have a bottom button, which is your B button. The A button is your on-off. You hold it down for 3 seconds, they turn on. That same button, if you press it up to 10 times, will turn the volume up in 10 different notches, so to speak. 10 different settings. This bottom button is your B button. The B button is used for volume down. And it's also, if you hold it down versus just a quick short press, if you hold it down for 3 seconds, it will give you access to 4 different settings. And if you don't mind, I just want to talk about these real quick because I think this is important. The first time you hit that button for 3 seconds, it will beep 1 time. And you know that you're in the normal setting. The second time you hit it, it will beep 2 times. You know you're in high frequency. That's for people that struggle to hear the treble, that struggle to hear the high pitch sounds. If you hold that same button down and it beeps 3 times, it handles the bottom end, the low end. So that's for people that don't hear as much bass. And then a 4th time in 4 beeps, if you hold the button down for those 3 seconds, it gives you what they call additional gain to all the sounds. It's giving you a fuller sound experience. It's kind of like steroids for your hearing aid. But what just took me maybe 15 seconds to describe, oops, sorry about that, is it. I mean, that's that's the whole thing. You don't need an app. You don't need a smartphone. You don't have to worry about downloading anything. Though I will say this. This is the first version of from Go that allows you to answer a phone call, should you choose, using the Bluetooth on your phone, directly through the hearing aid itself. So as you see the hearing aid there from Mary Beth, for those of you wondering, well, instead of holding the phone up to my hearing aid, can I answer a call directly through it? And the answer is yes. But that's the only time, Mary Beth, that you would actually need a smartphone.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're answering a phone call, you need a smartphone to begin with. But you don't need one.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? You don't need one for the volume, and you don't need one for the settings. And the other thing, too, before I show you this cool simulation video, is that these hearing aids are smart enough to remember how you set them, because obviously you have a left and a right.
Yes.
You could have the volume a little bit louder in one, a little bit less in the other. You could have the treble turned up on this, the bass turned on that. When you pop them back in the charging case, which will power them off and charge them, the next time you pop them in, they're like, okay, I know that Brett likes his, the right ear a little bit louder, left ear a little softer, and so on. So what I'd like to show you, if you don't mind, Mary Beth, is this really cool simulation video, because this is the only way you at home right now can kind of get a sneak peek as to the difference between listening without them and hearing through the GoUltra. Check this out.
At the end of their long journey, our colony of penguin chicks have reached the ocean. They peer over the edge, waiting for the right moment, anticipating the dangers that await. Until finally, one of them jumps.
Hey, honey, do you hear that?
It sounds like a pair of cardinals.
Where are they? I hear them, but I don't see them.
Oh, I think they're coming from...
Looking for our beer specials? So
Tonight, in addition to our usual lineup of IPAs, we've got some great
there's a pale ale from one of our local
brewers. It's very crisp and citrusy, if that's what you're into.
That's the difference between having to ask to hear it again. If you're the one who keeps saying, can you repeat that? What did you say? Huh? And it's not just in, areas where you don't know those people. It could be your grandkids trying to talk to you, and they have smaller voices, or maybe they, don't and need to. But the fact is that you want to be able to hear your friends, you want to be able to hear your coworkers, you want to be able to hear your spouse, you want to be able to hear the kids and the grandkids, as well as the TV, the radio, the Bose, whatever it might be that you're listening to in your home, and being able to hear somebody give that menu, right?
Yeah, and I think that we all, again, I mentioned this at the top, we all know somebody that seems a little disengaged in a group environment. It could be an older parent, grandparent, an uncle, or whatever. My stepfather, not to keep using him as an example, until we got him better hearing aids, he was that guy. He would sit there and he would nod a lot, and he would pretend to smile when he thought he knew the joke. And you know what? We were all starting to think, man, is something wrong? Almost like neurologically, is there something wrong? And I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
No,
and when we finally got him hearing aids that worked, all of a sudden, you didn't have to scream. You didn't have to repeat. He was starting conversations. And again, this could be, Mary Beth, a situation where the user doesn't need them all day long. It could be for the loud restaurant, or it could just be for watching TV, so that you're not turning the volume up louder and louder and louder and louder and making everything just noisier in the room. Because we talk about this with the Bose soundbar, right?
Yeah.
If you can't hear the television and you turn your television speakers, meaning the TV itself, up louder and louder, you turn up the problem. You don't make it any clearer by making it louder.
Right.
And if your world starts to sound like this, and you can't understand why it's not clear like this, that's what the hearing aids do. And I mentioned those 4 different modes. You take that little B button, you hold it down, it'll cycle through the normal, the high, and the low, and you can hear it in real time. And this is what I recommend. When you get these home, put them in both ears. Don't use them in one ear. You can, but it's not recommended. Just isolate both ears. And when you push that B button, which is the lower one that has the M on it there, you'll hear it, and it'll beep once, it'll beep twice, 3 times, 4 times. You'll know exactly which mode you're in, and you have to hold the button down for 3 seconds. Otherwise, you're just turning the volume up and down. And you'll hear in real time the difference between the muffled sound and the extra high end, or that extra overall boost, which is great, because that doesn't mean, that means you don't need the app. You don't need, because there is no app. You don't need to manipulate, and you don't have to carry that thing around. And you see how small and compact, and there's one of the microphones right below your fingernail there. That microphone is essentially, it's analyzing the sound around you. And these, I think we have an animation clip that kind of walks you through the channels and the bands, and you're going to see that pop up in this clip. So what is the technology behind this? listen, this is way above my pay grade. The fact that, the HearX people that make these were able to make an over-the-counter hearing aid for a fraction of the cost is incredible. And it almost makes you wonder, is it good enough? You won't know till you get home, but I promise you're going to hear a difference. You can now, as I mentioned, stream phone calls directly through your hearing aid should you have a smartphone and want to do that, or you can just hold the phone up to your ear if it rings. But the bands and the channels that you're going to see there means the more bands and the more channels means the more the hearing aid itself can refine and identify sounds. Obviously, a plate crashing to the ground has a much higher pitch than something that's got a lot of low end, like a bass drum or whatever it might be. And there it is right there. To enhance that speech and all those different scenarios so that, again, it's not making everything louder, it's cleaning it up, and it's also canceling feedback and room noise. And for $500, Mary Beth, I mean, yes, it's a big purchase. I get it. Nobody just throws away $500. But what's your hearing worth? What's your daily experience? What is your day-to-day experience worth? And I think it's more than $500, obviously.
And the other thing, too, just to let you know, that first of all, again, you said it. Here's the case. When you actually charge the case, I believe it's just a couple, 2-3 hours that you charge the case. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's less than 3 hours for 20 hours of usage.
Yeah.
And you can charge multiple times within the case after the case itself has absorbed a charge, because there's no way to charge the hearing aid without the case. So you plug these in at night before you go to bed, like your smartphone. You can put them next to each other at the bedside, and then take the case with you. And if during the day, for some reason, you start to run a little low, you pop them back in the case and we'll recharge them. That's the other thing, too. No cost to use these once you purchase them, unlike traditional hearing aids where every other day you're putting another 50 cent or $1 battery in each one of your hearing aids. And you see how small and compact they are.
I was just going to say, this is what's going in your ear, obviously.
That's it.
And there's different ones to choose from so you can get a good fit. And then this comes up and over the ear. This will sit behind the ear. This actually is a little arrow that just says remove. So
that's just to activate, to clear out the battery so that then they can charge. So when they come shipped, that's just
like
they're brand new. Yeah, you could pop that off once you get them home. Yep. Yeah, you just tear it right back out. And that just exposes the connectors that go to the charging case.
Yeah, which you can see under there. I'll just take it off. There you go.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, imagine I'm putting this in my right ear. Okay? So that's going in my ear. This is coming up and behind my ear, right?
That's right.
And then this, you can just pop that into kind of around those different canals that are in there. Because it's kind of there to help you, hold it in and also to take it out.
That's right. And you can trim that little piece of, it almost looks like a piece of fishing line. You can trim that shorter if you want to. The reason they give you that is once you put the hearing aid in and it feels snug, it's just an extra piece of reinforcement, and you just kind of tuck it in your ear canal and it'll vanish. But then again, it's an easy way. It's better to pull on that than it is to actually pull on the speaker. You don't want to rip the speaker or the canal or the tube. They call it the tube that goes fancy term tube that goes up to the module, to the pod itself. But it's pretty cool to think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, pretty cool to say, to know that you can make a difference in your own hearing. And one thing I wanted to remind you is, yes, I know it's $500, but that's a fraction of the cost of what it would be to go to the physician and get the hearing aids. The other thing is that you don't have to go there to change the volume. You get to do it yourself. And then the other thing is, if you want to get it on your Q card, we're offering 12-month special financing. And so if you want to break that down, that's going to be probably around $40-some a month instead of $100 a month. So that makes it really, really nice. So the fact is if you want to be able to get these home, we've made it affordable for you to do that. The other thing is that you have a 30-day return policy. So if at some point, 3.5 weeks into it, you're like, you know what, this isn't doing it, send them back and get your money back. But you will never know until you give it a try. I think sometimes we are in such denial as to whether or not we can really hear. In fact, we're going to go back to that simulation video, because if you are the person You'll recognize it.
Yeah.
At the end of their long journey, our colony of penguin chicks have reached the ocean. They peer over the edge, waiting